press and start. Obviously, congratulations on two excellent matches so far. Just a quick question, obviously, you had a big role in the development of Carl Fletcher's career.
Yeah.
What did you make of his weekend, particularly the big match against Jordan Devlin?
I think this year has been a great year for Carl Fletcher, especially as a singles wrestler, with the stuff in Fight Club Pro and stuff like that. He's, like when he first got here, does anybody know his old gimmick that he used to go by? He used to do this gimmick, I don't know if I'm giving it away or anything like that, but he did this gimmick in Australia called Instagram, and he wore a mask, and he was horrible as a singles wrestler. And when he came over, he's like, yeah, this is my mask. I was like, just take that stupid shit off, man. Like, it's dumb. So he took it off, and then he obviously went into the tag team with Davis, and like, we weren't really too sure what was going to come of it, and then look at all the success they've had. And now watching that match with Jordan Devlin, I was like, that dude's a pretty sick wrestler now, man. Like, he's come so far in such a short period of time, and he's also so young, and I hate him so much for it. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Henry Wright from Daily Star. I guess just a bit generally, you're one of the many talents who are doing NXT UK and also juggling their own indie dates. So I just was wondering, how do you spin so many plates and stay sane?
Stay sane?
Yeah.
Good question. Man, I don't know. Like, ever since I've got to the UK, things have just been so busy. Like, for me, like, I don't even know what I do during the week sometimes. People are always like, can you fit me in here? Or yeah, I literally can't. So it's just, I think as I go and I just keep going, I'm strapped in and I'm along for the ride. So like, I don't really think about juggling anything. I just kind of like take things as they happen and, you know, take it one step at a time. I don't sort of think long term at the moment. And sometimes it's probably at my detriment where I'm like, Trevor, you're supposed to do this. Oh shit, but that's right. But yeah, I'm just so busy. Like with the Fight Club school, my own training. I do like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff like that. Like I've got so many things to do. It's just, I don't know. I like just being busy and keeping busy. So yeah.
And I guess once again, more generally, you've obviously been Progress World Champion.
Yep.
You won Strong Style a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Go on.
Is there anything left for you to do on the UK scene?
Oh yeah. Win the tournament twice. That would be sick. I'd like to reclaim the Progress World Championship, maybe the Fight Club one as well. Fight Club is a good one because that was like where I started. That's where my name really started picking up. So I'd love to reclaim the title there and take on Schadenfreude and whatever else. But I don't know. Like I just like wrestling new talent, to be honest. I don't really have any one goal in particular. I just like wrestling people that I haven't before. And if people can go, can they go in the ring? Like, if they can keep up with me and stuff like that. And really testing them against myself, I guess. I don't know. But that's stuff that motivates me to still wrestle on the UK scene, I guess. So.
I guess there is anyone on that bucket list at the top?
The one that comes to mind at the moment is Lucky Kid. Like, I might have put out a tweet. Or, like, we might have even talked about it, about having a match. And I was like, man, I'd really like to wrestle Lucky Kid. I think he's great. I think he's like good intensity. There's a guy from Dragon Pro, I think Nico Angelo. I don't know, but yeah, he's super sick as well. I really like him. There's a few guys in my own like Fight Club school. There's a guy called Jack Ball. He's got like green hair, crazy skinny kid, but he can just do everything, and I'd love to wrestle him. So there's all these like guys, like maybe Amari again as well, because they're all like super talented. It's just I want them to get the exposure they deserve. So if I can help that by having a match with them, it would be sick.
Thank you very much. Best luck in the triple threat.
Thank you.
Liam, Pro Wrestling Journal. Just out of interest, growing up in New Zealand, like when you stepped into the ring for the first time, what was your ultimate goal? Because I was thinking, if you were over in England, you looked up someone like British Bulldog or Dynamo Kid, and you thought, I can go to WF.
Yeah.
But was it different because you grew up somewhere else, so you didn't necessarily have the same goals? Or
when I first watched wrestling was WCW. I watched Glacier vs. Mortis. Great start to the business, but I just love Glacier because of Sub-Zero and Mortal Kombat. So I always watched. When I was young, I watched it. I was like, man, I really want to get into wrestling. Like, I don't know how to go about it with New Zealand, but it's always in the back of my head. There's not really anybody in New Zealand that I can, apart from the Bushwhackers, that I can like go, I want to aspire to be them. Nothing against them. It's just not my kind of wrestling that I like to wrestle like. There are some guys that probably you guys have never heard of, like John Da Silva. He was like a really big guy back in like the 70s, 80s. I think it was called On the Mat or something. That's what the New Zealand like old program was. I think it was On the Mat. I'm not sure. Double check that. But those guys were great, and I did get to meet them and stuff. And there was a few guys like Bruno Becker who like did Australia and New Zealand that like I really like looked up to when I first came in. But not really. Like it was. I actually watched a lot of like British wrestling when I first started, and I was like, fuck, it would be cool to like train under those guys or. Yeah, and now I'm kind of like doing it.
I guess was the ultimate goal still like the WrestleMania moment, or was it a bit more?
No, well, actually going back to goals. Sorry, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was like, I literally didn't even think I could be a wrestler. I was just like, I went to a show in 2008 and Raven was on it, and it was like, I lived in this little my hometown of Bulls in New Zealand. It's like 5,000 people, and there's like a city just next to it, like, and that's like I don't know, 10,000 people. I say city, but like for New Zealand, it's massive. And there was a show there, and like Raven was on it, and I was like, what the fuck is Raven doing in this town? And I went, and the show was absolute crap. It was like terrible, and like Raven was out of shape and terrible. I was just like, and I'm not saying like, oh fucking this is terrible. I was just like, oh man, I actually felt sad. I was like, I feel like I could probably do a better job. And so that I talked to the promoter there, and then I got into it. But then I never really thought I could actually be anything in wrestling. I was just like, oh, I'll go to a training session and see what happens. And if you know my story, that obviously happened. And then my goal was just to have one match. And then I had one match, and like the crowd was super into me, and I was like, oh, I think I'm addicted now. And then I was like, okay, let's have 10 matches. And then I had 10 matches, and then I was like, let's win a title. And in my first year, I won like the tag team titles of my company, and then the next year I won like the title, and then it just continued. And then I had more goals. I want to go international, and then I went to Japan and America, and then I was like, I want to go to the UK, and now we're here, and look at what's happened. Everything that's happened. So I'm just very, very goal orientated. And as soon as I tick one off, another one comes up. Because when I won the title in New Zealand, that was such a big thing to me, the national title. And then I was like, okay. As soon as I won it, the moment I won it, the 1, 2 or whatever, I got tapped out. I won it and I held it up, and then I go, oh fuck, what's next? And then, do you know what I mean? And then I had to reassess my goals. But that's so
cool. Thank you.
On goals,
Jake from 24 Wrestling. Have you noticed a difference in the UK scene? Obviously, with streaming platforms are now a lot easier to get a hold of. I mean, personally, for me, when you were in progress with the South Pacific Power Trip, obviously with TK, you very different styles. He was kind of quite sneaky, and then you'd come in and just like a house on fire.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in Fight Club, you were already at the top of the card.
Yeah.
You were having these incredible matches. Do you find it's when you go to different places now, more people recognise you? Obviously, with the UK NXT UK affiliation, do you feel more people are acclimatised to your style? And
I think now, like with my exposure, like with NXT and stuff like that, everybody kind of knows what I'm about. But when I very first got here, people were still kind of figuring me out, like, what's he about? Like, I like to wrestle like a lot of different hats. Like, if you've seen me in Attack doing Stupid Sexy Travis, like I can do that comedy stuff. Yeah. Then would be like heels in Progress with like TK, would be like sneaky, underhanded, and then I'll be at Fight Club, be like the super baby face. So I like to like wear different hats. But and the good thing about the UK and the UK fans is whatever show they're at, will react accordingly to what stories we're telling and stuff like that. So at first it was a bit of a challenge, but it's cool, and like I just the fans are so passionate, and they just get behind me and like cool until they turn on me in Progress.
Well, I was going to say, obviously you had such a build up to when you obviously beat Pete Dunne at the first ever Alexandra Palace show. Can you remember? I know it's probably not a great thing, but obviously you were the top dog in the company, and there came a point where the fans started to turn slowly. Can you remember?
Yep.
Did you feel a personal frustration, as in like I've worked this hard?
There's two sides to it, because I'm very professional when it comes to wrestling, so I'll do the job that is needed of me. So there was two things. Like, my personal frustration was I'm killing myself in the ring day in, day out. I'm having like fucking barnstorming matches with Riddle and Keith Lee, fucking going home, fucking battered, and everyone's still booing me, and I was like, oh, you sons of bitches. But in my head, I'm like, you wait till I fucking turn on you. Do you know what I mean? Exactly, but like, I always have plans, and I always have like ideas, like what I can do with. But at the end of the day, as long as people are reacting, that's all I care about. So like, as long as they're reacting to me, I know I can do something with it. I remember I remember when it first happened. It was against. I think the Riddle match was probably the start, and I think it was like the third Riddle match. It was like Progress did something stupid where it was like fans voted Riddle and Jonah Rock to be my opponent for the title, and like Riddle got it, and then that match was like the one where it was like super just Riddle. Everybody was against me, and I was like, okay, got something here.
It was just interesting because Progress is such a company of, you know, as a fan, it's like our guys.
Yeah.
You were our guy.
Yeah.
We all got behind Travis Banks, and then it's like Riddle's in the ring with you. It's like, yeah, Riddle's cool, but
yeah. I guess like I wrestled a lot as champion. I wrestled a string of like like super likable wrestlers. Yeah. So you're forcing the fans to choose between your champion and super likable wrestlers.
And the Ospreay match as well.
Yeah, that was that one as well. That was great. That's probably one of my favorite matches of all time. So obviously straight away you're driving a wedge between your champion and like some other likable wrestlers. But some of them were like internationals like Riddle and like Keith Lee and stuff, so they leave, so the fans are still kind of on my side. But then you make me wrestle TK and you wrestle like Chris Brooks, and you're forcing me to let them to choose between homegrown talent and myself, and everybody wants to see a title change. So I knew it was coming. I was like, all right, well, fuck it, we'll see. And then the Flash Morgan Webster match came. I was like, right. You know what I mean? So I really had fun with that Flash Morgan Webster match. I came back and I was at home and I was proper buzzing about it. I was like, we got them. We got the fans. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think the future holds for Chris Brooks as an ISIS retirement?
Chris will be fine. He's super creative. He's like a wrestling genius. He'll come up with something. You know what I mean? He'll always be fine. He's one of those 1 in a million sort of guys on the scene that can pull magic out of nothing. Do you know what I mean? So.
Probably got time for one more question.
Can I get two in?
Yeah.
Ryan from Support Bible. With your own story and now what happened with Walter tonight, do you think it's fair to say that in Progress you either lose the title early or keep it longer enough to see yourself become the heel?
Is that like a superhero?
That's
a superhero quote. I always thought that. I was like, long enough to become the villain thing, but I felt like it was inevitable, just the way things were going with Walter anyway. And then as soon as like the fans turned him, I was backstage, just like, I told you. And everyone was looking at me. I was like, yeah, I knew it was gonna happen. But man, that's the magic of professional wrestling. Do you know what I mean? You can never be too sure what the crowd's gonna do. So it's just either you dig your heels in and try and work your way out of it, or you just go with the flow and make the best of a situation. Do you know what I mean? So I prefer Walter this way anyway. Big bully. So.
It makes sense. And I guess lastly, you won the Infinity Trophy at Fight Club. You've won Super Strong Style here. Here you are again in the semi-final. You obviously have an affinity with tournament wrestling. Is it something you particularly enjoy, and what are the nuances about it?
I always like to think of myself as like super. Like I'm super athletic. Like I've got like crazy cardio. Like endurance wrestling is probably like my staple. Before even professional wrestling, I did sumo wrestling, and I was in like I won the Oceania Games, which I had to go through like a tournament brackets and stuff, and I won gold in lightweight, stuff like that. And then I went to China and I wrestled. I did sumo wrestling there, and I represented New Zealand. So I've always had like that sporting background through tournaments and stuff, and then coming into wrestling, same sort of thing. And then I don't know, I like it. I like the story of it. I like obviously the pain and fighting through and stuff. Because I was trained in Japan, so like that sort of fighting spirit story I always love to tell and stuff like that as well. So, and as you can tell, I like getting beaten up on my fucking lip at the moment in my black eye. So.
Do you think you might ever do Carrot?
Did I do it last year? Yeah, I did it last year. Yeah, I did do it last year, and I think I got to the semis maybe. I can't remember. But, so I had so much.
You passed the first round, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I wrestled Haskins in the first round, then I wrestled David Starr, and David Starr took me out of that tournament. But I love tournaments. I think they're great. I think they're awesome. People get super into them as well. So.
I was going to wrap it up there, but I'm intrigued by you did sumo.
Yeah, it's like,
I've seen everybody's faces like,
yeah.
Were you bigger back then?
Yeah. Well, I've always been into martial arts, so I did Shotokan karate when I was young and like competed in that and stuff. And then I went into amateur wrestling for a little bit. And then when I started professional wrestling, the guy who trained me, he was like, the head of like New Zealand sumo for some reason. Of course he was. And then I wrestled this guy. He was like he was like 6'9" or something, 6'10" or something like that.